what one of the worst parts about being just a little bit successful in acting is everyone thinks you're doing okay.
Welcome to another episode of Chewing the Fat. I am your host, Big Rob. Thank you so much for tuning in. I certainly do appreciate that. Also want to thank the folks that have bought me a coffee at chewingthefatvr.com. Always appreciate that. And also the reviews. If you have a chance, I always appreciate the reviews written at Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts. Give me a 5-star rating. That's it. And it really does help the podcast go far. Also want to say welcome to our episode sponsor of the Black Cat Picture Show. International Film Festival going to be happening August 19th through the 21st at Le Chat Noir in downtown Augusta. You can get your entries in at blackcatpictureshow.com. And speaking of films, I'm so excited about my guest today. Please welcome to the show. He's been in Stranger Things. He's been in a Super Bowl commercial. He's been in shows here in Augusta on stage. Welcome, Michael Silvio Fortino.
Thank you for having me, Rob.
Thank you, sir, for coming in. I appreciate it.
Of course, of course.
So you are an Augusta native?
That's correct. Yeah, born and raised in Augusta. Went to Westmont Elementary School, to Columbia, to Evans, and then to Augusta University.
Nice, nice. So, as an actor, as mentioned things that are in your bio, you always had that kind of performance bug that want to show out kind of thing? I
think so. So I come from a family of athletes, and my dad was an athlete growing up, and my cousins I looked up to growing up. They were like my cousin Steve was drafted by the Cubs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's pretty good. And I started playing baseball when I was younger, and then when I went to elementary school, they did the school play, and they needed a soloist, and I was like, I'll try it out. And I was like, hey, I like this.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, well, you can't do both because, I started doing player shows. I did Fiddler on the Roof back in 2001.
Oh, wow.
And my mom was like, well, baseball's at this time and rehearsals at this time. And so she said, you have to make a choice. And I said, well, I want to do the performing thing. And she goes, well, you got to fold up your uniform. You go to the coach's house, you hand it back, and you say, thank you. But this is for me. This isn't for me.
Yeah.
So... but ever since then, I've had that performance bug, and I'm stuck with it ever since.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So when you were coming up and coming along, obviously it sounds like your family very supportive of that.
For the most part, yeah. They sometimes they don't see the end goal, because I'm like, I have to do this, this, and this, and this part's gonna suck. But when it gets to this part, it's gonna be awesome. Right. And sometimes they're like, are you sure about that? I'm like, yes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And it's hard to see it, but for the most part, yeah, they've been very supportive.
Yeah. And I think that's hard for people that don't do, the artistic thing, especially whether you be like an actual, paint and brushes type artist or an actor or something like that. There is all the work that you have to do before the exhibition.
Absolutely. You gotta do free work. You gotta do all that, ensemble work. You got to do the background extra work. You got to do the featured extra work, the stand-in. You have to work your way up, and I would go long distances that didn't make sense to them. Like I went to New York City to do a featured extra bit on The Deuce, and I just had to spend 2 weeks out there because there were 3 shoot days spread over 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And so I stayed with friends and stuff, and I had the best time. But to most people, that investment makes absolutely no sense. But to me, I'm like, well, those are the last 2 days I needed on set to get my SAG card.
Yeah.
So just to be eligible for it. And so, yeah, it was a good move. But yeah.
But yeah, when you look at it, especially if you're someone who's normally, a 9-to-5 clocking in type of thing, it's like, okay, I'm going for 2 weeks. I'm only working 3 days, and I'm only probably going to make, $150.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Total out of those 3 days.
Exactly. After all expenses, you're lucky to break even.
Yeah.
But usually you're spending more.
Yeah.
But the time that you have is super valuable. I met an actress named Dominique Fishback, and she's fantastic, and she was one of the leads on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I was standing there, and she was like right next to me, and she goes, "Do I know you from somewhere?" I was like, "Nope," but everybody tells me I look like Alex Wolf, and she goes, "Yeah, that's it." And I told her, I was like, "Yeah, I'm from Georgia, and I was here trying to get my SAG card." She's like, high five me. She's like, "Yeah, way to go for it." And and that was cool. It was like a valuable moment. And now she's actually friends with Tian Richards. I don't know if you know Tian, and he's from Augusta. We went to high school together. Now he's the lead on a CW show coming out soon. The Tom Swift show. Yeah. But they're friends, and I'm like, look at that. It's like a connection right there. It's like, but those like, I'm not saying you should go up to the actor and be like, "Hey, talk to me." Yeah. But those connections that you make on set are super valuable.
Yeah, it's there's a huge value in the networking side of things.
Absolutely.
And I think, and I've said this before about depending, especially on artistic things. I say it to my son Jeremy all the time, and I've mentioned it on the podcast before. He is a jazz pianist, and he wants to score, and he wants to compose for video games or movies and things like that. And I was like, that's awesome. Those jobs don't exist in Augusta, Georgia. You got to go where people can notice you.
Absolutely.
You got to go and be a session player in Nashville or something, so that when people come through, you've got that networking, you've got that connection, so that when they think, "Oh, I need this," "Oh, I know this guy Jeremy," or, "Oh, hey, I need this guy with the curly dark hair. I know Michael Silvio Fortino."
Exactly.
It's so much more valuable than the actual paycheck that you get while you were there.
And when I did the Disney college program for a short time, which was life changing for me, and when I was there, I took an entertainment and show production course. And one of the producers said, "There's jobs here, and they're awesome jobs. Good luck getting one here, because everybody here loves it. And if we're leaving, it's because we're retiring, or unfortunately someone gets fired for doing something wrong,
right?
Or they're getting transferred to something better. So because nobody's leaving,
right?
And so let's say you apply for a job and you don't get it, and then the job opens up again. Am I going to hire the person that stuck around at Disney waiting for that job to open again, or am I going to hire the person that left and got better at their craft?" And I was like, it's like, don't stick around here waiting for something to open. Go get better.
Yeah.
Go get better. And I was like, it gave me chills. I was like, all right. I was like, and I actually left my program early to take an internship because I wanted to go back.
Yeah.
But you're right. You're right. You want to get that experience, and some things are here, but you got to go away for a little bit and see other things and learn about other people. Yeah.
Yeah, because that travel, that working with other groups gives you different perspective. Even just, doing the same thing in a different location.
Absolutely.
Doing the same type of stuff if you were in Chicago, or if you were in New York, or LA, or Colorado, or where, it's going to give you a different perspective.
Absolutely.
And different ways of doing things, which makes you, I think, more valuable down the road.
Absolutely. And like I said, that Disney college program was so valuable because I stayed in Augusta for a long time. That was my first extended stay away from home.
Yeah.
And I learned so much about myself, but but the cool thing, I got that simulated college experience, the dorm situation. I had 6 people in a 3-bedroom apartment.
Wow.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
But no, it was fine. But you learn so much, and you meet people from all over the world. That was the cool thing. It was like you got the experience of people from different cultures, like from around the States. But when you met people from around the world, that was just really just eye-opening to me.
Yeah. Yeah. In your pursuit, you say your first role was something at your elementary school or whatever.
Right. It was called Once Upon a Lily Pad.
Oh.
I played Freddy the Frog. I'll never forget it. I almost got fired.
How does an elementary school kid get fired?
I got the note home from school that he doesn't know his lines.
Oh no.
Some people never grow out of that problem, I guess. But I had a hard time. I didn't realize until I was older I had ADHD. And I had a really difficult time studying lines and just absorbing. And so my babysitter and my mom would just every day, every day. And I guess I just enjoyed the work and I enjoyed the process. And then, I just fell in love with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you say you still have the same problem memorizing lines or whatever. Is that what drew you to improv? You're like, hey, I can make up my own lines.
You know what? I've always loved comedy. I started going to Schrodinger's Cat when I was 16 because they came to Harlem Fest when I was in high school, which was like this festival where all the one-act groups would practice their show for the one-act competition. And they would do all these cool classes. And I met Gary Dennis. And so I started going to the shows. And I started going to rehearsal. And then I just fell in love with it. But the reason I actually got into comedy was as a reflex because I got bullied a lot. Tremendous amount of bullying. But I realized if I made the joke before they did, they laughed. And then I was like, oh, this is changing people's perspectives. So it became almost a reflex, like just to make people laugh. And then I was like, man, this is actually, I really enjoy this actually.
Yeah.
My therapist tried to ruin it for me though. He's like, oh, you make the joke before anybody else can. It's a defense mechanism. That's very nice. I'm like, don't ruin comedy for me. Okay.
Yeah. The thing is I do the same thing and I did the same thing. It's like, if I can, say something that makes you laugh before you want to get in a fight with me or whatever, that's a win for me.
Exactly.
You call it a defense mechanism, then you become a ninja at defense. That's fine. You know what I mean? You become a comedy ninja. It's exactly. I don't think there's anything, overtly wrong with that, especially when you're in high school in these crazy like social situations and trying to deal with that as well as learning whatever it is that they're trying to pour into you and figure out hormones and all that other stuff.
Oh yeah.
I think a tablespoon or a cup of that is not a bad thing.
Right.
I suppose I could understand that once you get past that, that and you go into the quote unquote real world. But at that point, knowing comedy and being able to enjoy it for its own sake instead of its defense sake,
right?
I think is that's where you start to find that butter zone.
Yeah, and I think like even though like I felt like I honed it through that way, like just by using it as a defense mechanism. Looking back, I was always a comedy nerd. Like I was a diehard fan of Mad TV and Saturday Night Live and all Adam Sandler and Will Ferrell and just like weird sketch shows like Mr. Show and stuff like that. And I used to watch a show called Wild and Out, which is still on, but it came on when I was in middle school. And everyone used to do 2-line rap battles in the back. And I would just like try to take what I...
It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine. I keep dropping my phone. It's okay.
It's okay.
But they would do these 2-line like battles, like improv battles in the back. And I would just like listen to it and I would just be like, okay, so how can I do that too? And I was like, this is fun. I'm making them laugh. I'm like, okay, maybe comedy is something that I could get into. But when I joined Schrodinger's Cat, it took me a long time to break through and it really was confusing. Because I thought I was doing a good job and the current director was like, or the director at the time was just not putting me in. And I was like, what am I doing wrong? And then I went to Chris and then Chris sat in on rehearsals and he's like, yeah, I don't understand why you're not in. And from there, I just never looked back. I did it for a long time and moved to Atlanta. When I came back, I knew I wanted to be the artistic director because I knew that spot was going to be opening up. And so now I'm working with Schrodinger's Cat it was Schrodinger's Cat improv and now it is Schrodinger's Cat comedy because we want to do more than improv. We want to do sketch, stand up. We want to do it all.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And you guys are home based out of Le Chat Noir.
Le Chat Noir, yeah.
Le Chat Noir is such a jewel in the crown of Augusta.
It really is.
And I think it's one of the probably most underutilized resources by the city at large. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I didn't know you had this. It's like, well, it's there. It's been there. I mean, they're going on 16, 17 years now. They are the home for the Black Cat Picture Show, Schrodinger's Cat. Of course, they have their main stage season. They have quickies. They have, the performance venue, and they've done remodel of the bar area there with
my God.
Zach McCabe from All Equal Parts, and it's just freaking amazing.
I cannot believe the job they've done with the bar to start. Like, Zach has transformed that bar, like, physically and just the spirit of it.
Yeah. And I mean, they've got their, I mean, it has its own entity now. I can't pronounce it. Les Hydropaths.
Yes.
On Instagram and all like that too. So, I mean, he's constantly creating these custom cocktails for the venue and everything
Absolutely.
like that. I'm sorry to gush on.
No, I love
Chat.
Zach. I love Zach, and I love Lashat too. And the thing is, when I booked Mark Normand right before the pandemic, and he came into Lashat, he's performed all over New York City. Like, that is his home base, and of course he travels the states. But he said he had never seen anything like that before, and it's one of the coolest bars he's ever performed in. And I was like, well, there you go.
There you go.
I'm like, this is a New York comic, and that's like one of the highest compliments you can get right there. Because they do like I've been to New York, and they got some really cool hole in the wall bars. And I agree. I think Lashat would be one of those places too.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned booking Mark Normand in here. That's part of your latest endeavor of Big Brow Productions, correct?
Yes.
Obviously it sounds like a production company, but also you do events, you do productions, you do casting, you do talent, you kind of do it all, right?
Right. So I started Big Brow Productions because I felt like there was a need in the film community that I could fill. And there have been issues with companies with like writing comedy or casting their productions, or they need specialty costumes or specialty props, and they don't know where to go. And I felt like that is something that I work well with. I work well with like Uli and Moretz Productions and Le Chat Noir and places like that where I can help improve their product. Which, that I felt like that's like, okay, that's the way to make money, but I still want to do things that are passionate to me, which is like bringing comedians to Augusta that you wouldn't see anywhere else, you know? Like, you can go to the Miller and see like these big, huge comics that are coming through, but there are a lot of really good comics that get overlooked.
Yeah.
And Le Chat Noir is that perfect venue to put them in.
Yeah. I mean, and we used to have comedy clubs in Augusta.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was literally called the Comedy Club. It was up on Washington Road. I remember that, going to see, and it was some folks that were like, now big name comics, but I remember seeing like Jeff Dunham, when he was, just kind of starting out. Of course, this would have to be, 20 plus years ago.
Right.
But when, the comedy club shut down, nothing took over in its place. Nothing opened back up.
Right.
Other than, like you said, a larger, somebody coming to the James Brown Arena type or the Bell Auditorium type of comic. None where you can like see an actual card where you have like, a host and an opening act and then a main act and a closer. You just don't have that here.
And it's disappointing because there's no reason we shouldn't. Especially, and the thing is, that's why I wanted to go with Le Chat and work with them specifically, because Schrodinger's Cat Comedy has held it down for over 10 years now. But I want them to grow. I want the comedy scene to grow. And I think we're making the right moves right now.
Yeah. And it's nothing wrong with places to do like open mic nights. I think open mic nights are great proving grounds for people. Like, I don't know if I'm funny really or not. It's just somebody told me I was funny, so let me get up and try to do this. And then you realize, nope, this is not for me. I mean, I get that all the time. People are like, oh, you're just so funny, you should do stand up. I'm like, I'm not a stand up comic. I am a situational comic. I can do improv or I can do sketch comedy. Right. But I am not going to write a set and perform a set.
It's hard. And when I hung out with Mark Normand during the show, because the cool part about that is Mark Normand at the time was my favorite comic. He's still one of my favorites, but he was my favorite comic at the time. And he revealed to me, like, I can't just go out there and just play it off with the audience and riff with the audience. Yeah. I have to write everything. I have to write it out, and I have to go over it, and I have to memorize it. And then hopefully at the point where I get good enough at it, it just kind of comes out, and then I can riff the jokes that I already know and just boom, 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 boom. And it made me feel better because I was like, I'm not a riff. I can't. The audience will eat me alive.
Yeah.
If I try to riff with them, it's like no. But this next comic we're bringing in, his name's Adam Ray. That's his specialty, is riffing with the audience.
Okay, that's awesome. So how many like shows have you kind of got coming up in the future? So
far, Big Brow's we got 2 productions right now. So we have Adam Ray coming up May 12th. That's going to be at 8:00 at Le Chat Noir. We've got 2 or 3 openers selected so far.
Okay.
One, his name is Marlon Ballard. He's from Augusta. He's a regular in Atlanta at the Laughing Skull. He's also a Cleveland guy, so
there you
a lot
go.
of love from me. And then Jen Snyder is from Columbia, and she's fantastic. She opened for Billy Anderson, who's another Augusta local. And she's great. And then I'm going to pick one more opener from Augusta. I want somebody to represent the city, but I have not selected that person yet. So I've been going out and watching sets and looking for somebody.
That's awesome.
But that's the goal for every show, is that we have one person from the city that's a hardworking comic that represents us very well, and we want to give them that shot to open for somebody that's big.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And because like I was saying earlier about having to go to the place where you can network and be seen, get the right eyes on you, bringing a venue together with an opportunity like that kind of at least becomes more attractive for the right eyes to see you here at home without having to travel to somewhere like that.
Yeah. And the thing is, what I want to do is really add value to that spot, like I was talking about, that 5 minutes. Just like you said, anybody can go up and do stand-up comedy anywhere. So if they can go see you do an open mic at Joe's or at Metro or wherever, why would they come and pay to see you perform at Le Chat?
Right.
So I want to put a lot of value on that 5 minute spot, just because, the comics that I'm bringing in are working regularly, either touring or they're on TV.
Right.
And I want to give those opportunities to people who deserve it.
Yeah. And because, again, that gives them an opportunity to hopefully network with that headliner.
Absolutely. And that's good for business.
Exactly.
It's good for everybody.
Exactly.
So that's definitely a huge goal of Big Brow, is to make those connections for deserving folks.
That's awesome. So how does juggling Big Brow now tie into your own personal, like, acting pursuits and things like that? You said you have your SAG car now. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Matter of fact, SAG featured you on their Instagram not too long ago with your story. I thought that was amazing.
It was it was really cool. I didn't expect it. I don't remember what I was doing, but I was just like, SAG shared my story. What? It's like, but yeah, it was a lot of work. It was very complicated, but to answer your question, the good thing about I hate to say that, the good thing about the pandemic was that it made everything virtual.
Yeah.
All auditions are virtual.
Yeah.
And so self tapes all the time. Even callbacks were self tape, or not self tapes, even Zooms.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to do the things that I want to do and still tape auditions, especially now that I'm getting ready to move into a studio or into an office, and so I have that set up there. So if I'm working on something, like, boop, just hop over there and tape it and send it over.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. And, and it's like, it's like you said, it's terrible to say with the pandemic. Yes, there was a lot of loss, but I think there was, like you said, a lot of opportunity too, for people to, bridge those distance gaps by virtual, Zooms and taped auditions, self-tapes and things like that. And I remember seeing, like, things that were that first, those first 6 months, and then seeing things just in the past 6 months, and the quality difference between, like, what those first kind of self-tape auditions look like to now what people have kind of upped their game to, and being able to, get a better camera and get lighting and get background, you know what I mean?
I did one audition during the pandemic, and it was for it's like some sort of living van, like what those vans called where you can live in them and they're nice. And somebody taped it from inside of their van that they lived in, and I went, well, I'm out.
Yeah.
I was like, dang it.
Yeah.
I was like, touche.
Genius. There you go. Talk about, dressing the part. I was like, well,
congratulations. This guy actually lives in a van, so I can't beat that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you have been in some pretty big productions. You were in a commercial that aired during the Super Bowl.
It did not air during the Super Bowl.
What?
No.
Wait.
No, but it did air around Super Bowl time.
It aired near the
Super Bowl.
Oh,
near the Super Bowl. But the thing about it was not supposed to go on cable, though. It never was supposed to go to cable.
Oh, yeah.
And it was only supposed to be like a YouTube ad because it's only 15 seconds. So I was like, that makes sense. That checks out. And then one day I heard my parents screaming in the other room, like, Michael, I see you on TV. And
Michael, you delivered pizzas.
You delivered the pizza. You made us proud.
As an Italian.
It was made my parents proud. No, but it shocked me because then I just started getting messages from all over, like from my family in Ohio and friends that are out of the States, or not out of the States, but around other states. But I was like, oh my God, it's on TV. And the crazy thing is, I've never seen it on TV.
Wow.
I've left cable on sometimes just to see if it comes. Never.
Really?
And the thing is, I'm on the first 3 seconds of the commercial.
Yeah.
So anytime they call me to come see it, it's over.
You're gone. Yeah, you're gone. Yeah. Yeah. No, well, so business question then is like, what was the buyout on that thing, and what was the usage? Because if it was supposed to be YouTube and you got paid YouTube rates. Oh no,
they changed it.
Okay,
they definitely paid me the cable rate. I'm still I owe Hidden Valley my life because I'm still getting paid out on Hidden Valley Ranch today.
Good.
And and you can ask my best friend this. Shout out to Eric, bro. Growing up, I was a huge Hidden Valley Ranch guy.
Okay.
Huge. Like, I always dipped it in my pizza crust.
Yeah.
Yeah, always. And so when I told him I got the Hidden Valley commercial, he's like, bullshit.
That's awesome.
I was like, no, I'm serious. And he's like, oh, yeah. But yeah, it was a lifesaver because I didn't think it was going to be anything, and but the financial gain of it was it changed my life. I was able to like pay for the SAG card with like my money, and pay off debt, pay off just a lot of stuff, and it was nice. It was pay for the LLC for my company and all the business expenses so far. So
that's awesome.
That little ranch guy helping me.
Yeah, that's awesome. But, and again, I from myself doing auditions and seeing what usage and rates and things like that go, I can imagine, getting it flipped from from a internet only to a broadcast nationwide was a big flip.
Yeah. Because I didn't realize what the financial flip was for that, And one day I was sitting at my desk at my old job, and the first check came through, and I almost started crying because I had never seen that much money.
And you like call the bank. It's like, is this
a joke?
It's like, this is not funny.
Don't do this to me. And I freaked out. I was like, oh my God, this is gonna change my life. I was like, I can pay some things off and put myself in a situation where I could start my own business. Yeah.
Yeah. And just for if you're listening, you don't know what a SAG card is. That's a union that Screen Actors Guild is what it stands for. That if you're in the union, you're able to get better rates. You're able to get better pay for whether it be an internet or a cable commercial.
Right.
So having a SAG card is very important. Unfortunately, all the stuff I do is non-union, but that's okay. It's still working at it. So
really, in the state of Georgia, I don't think it even matters too much anyway, because it's
the right to work state.
The right to work state.
But again, if when you get those auditions and they're looking for SAG people as opposed to non-union people, that's the key. That's the key. So it does open up that door to a SAG audition as opposed to a non-union audition. Because there have been times when I've auditioned for things and they're like, "Are you SAG?" And I was like, "No." And they're like, "Oh, this is SAG." It's like, it didn't say. It's like
annoying.
Yeah, it's like, sorry. It's like, okay.
It's like, oh, cool. Well, if you give me this, I will be SAG.
Right. I can. It gets me one step closer. But
yeah, I just need one speaking line, and then I can be SAG. So here we go.
Well, we do that. Let's make that happen, as opposed to the silent gas station attendant in the Spectacular Now. You can see me on the deleted scenes.
Oh, yeah.
Yay.
Check it out.
My whole scene got cut. But that's okay. There was another kid that was in that movie that, like, he had lines and they cut his whole storyline out of it. I felt so bad for that kid. But anyway, also speaking of movies and that type of production, you also were in Stranger Things, just that little Netflix.
Well, it's
series.
funny you just said what you said, because I was terrified that my scene was going to get cut from Stranger Things.
See, look at that. We've both been convenience store clerks. It's amazing.
Look at us.
It's kismet. It's kismet. No, so you were Ricky,
Ricky, the gas station cashier, which they decided the name that day because I was on set and they were like, "This guy doesn't have a name tag," and I was like, "What should his name be?" I'm like, "Mickey." No. Like that, Ricky. And I'm like, okay, Ricky, that's cool. Ricky's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was one of the best experiences of my life. Though I wish I could do it all over again.
Yeah,
because I did not handle it as well as I wish I would have.
How do you mean?
I had a heavy case of imposter syndrome that day. I did not feel like I was supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Because when you see how many people audition, and you really see like it's throwing a dart at at a picture, and it just didn't seem real. And I remember that morning I woke up super early because with Atlanta traffic, it's going to take you 30 minutes or it's going to take you 3 hours.
Right.
Getting there took me 30 minutes. Getting home took me 3 hours.
Yeah.
So I'm there early, and I walk up on set, and I'm just a nervous wreck. I didn't sleep. I'm just going over my lines over and over and over again. And they asked me if I want some breakfast, and I was like, "Yeah, sure. What do you have?" And they're like, "No. Well, what would you like for breakfast?" So I wasn't used to this because I was just an extra, and they were like, "Go stand over here.
Yes.
You'll be lucky to eat."
Right. Go get in the extra waiting room.
Right.
In the pool.
Yeah.
There might be air. There might not.
There might not be. You might have to stand outside. Like the gas station scene, I felt bad. All the extras were outside in these tents, and like it was hot, and I was in a van. I felt bad.
Yeah.
But so that morning, I didn't want to be complicated, so I was like, just eggs, bacon, black coffee. You want anything in the coffee? No. And I didn't drink coffee at the time, but I just wanted to be as simple as possible. I didn't want to be complicated or anything.
Yeah.
And so the first thing I do is go to makeup, and I don't know anybody in there. And I didn't realize at the time that I was sitting with two of the future stars of the season. And then Dave Harbour comes in, and I just almost start closing my eyes because I'm like, "Oh God, don't look at him. Don't look at him." I'm just I'm just terrified.
Yeah.
I had never worked on a show that I was a fan of, and never worked with like an actor at that caliber that I was just like,
right.
Anyway, so makeup happens, and then I go to set, and I get out of the van, and my friend Alec, who was in Improv Athens, who I'd brought in to Augusta, is the PA, the first team PA.
Oh, wow.
And I went,
thank God.
Literally. I went, "Oh God, thank you, Alec. I am so scared."
Right.
I was like, what do I say to Dave? What do I do? And he's like, "Just relax. Okay. Calm down. First off, take a breath. He will come introduce himself to you. Don't worry about it. You're going to be fine."
Yeah.
And instantly, I felt like just having like somebody I knew. I was like, "Okay, we're good."
Yeah.
And then they start setting some chairs up, and then it's me and Alec Utgoff, who plays Dr. Alexi, and he has a guitar, and we're sitting next to each other, and we're jamming. And then sitting directly in front of me is Winona Ryder. And I don't know how to act. I'm just like, what is going on?
What is my life?
What is my life right now? And then all of a sudden she turns her chair around, and now she's facing me, like we're facing each other right now. And then she's like, "Can I play the guitar?" And Alec is like, "Yeah, sure." And then she starts playing badly, but she doesn't play guitar. She's like, "I don't play guitar." And she's like, "No." And she goes, "When I was in middle school, I was in a talent show, and I decided to air drum Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA." And she goes, "Yeah, let me do some of it for you." And so she pulls her phone out, and she starts to play the song. and I don't know if this is a bit or if if she's being dead serious, because Born in the USA for about 3 minutes of the song is and she's like, hold on, let's get into it. And it's just still, we're like, do I laugh? Because it's really funny. Because like,
but I don't want to laugh and then insult her.
Right. So I'm confused. I don't know what to do. But it was so, and then she's like, oh, I got to go to that. And I went, thank God. I was like, I'm just going to laugh. She's like, what the fuck are you laughing at? I was like, no. Nothing.
I have Tourette's and I laugh when
right.
When I'm nervous.
I don't know. But it was really like, it was great. And Alec was like playing like a lot of classical stuff because he was learning that. And he comes up to me and the other Alec, the first team PA Alec, there's two of them. Mm-hmm. And he goes, hey guys, I was wondering if maybe you could teach me an American song. I was like, all right, what would be like the most stereotypical American song in 2017, 2018? Mm-hmm. Wagon Wheel. I was like, nice. So we taught him Wagon Wheel. And he goes, hey, mama, rock me. Okay, I like that. Yeah, okay.
That is so awesome.
Yeah. And so like I'm having a good time, but I haven't done anything yet. Mm-hmm. I'm like, damn, it's a lot of waiting. Mm-hmm. And finally it's time. And it all hits me at once. I'm like, oh boy. I get to the counter, like learn how to use the register. And it's like, they're like, oh, I learned it. They're like, oh, you gotta use your left hand. Oh.
No!
All right. And I'm like trying to do it left-handed, and it's weird, but I got it. Then the Slurpee machine's all acting up. I used to work at Adventure Crossing here in Augusta, so I know how to fix it. Mm-hmm. So I went over there and I like click, fixed it up. And then Dave Harbor walks up. And I remember it specifically. I just feel my heart just fall to my stomach. Mm-hmm. And he goes, hey man, what's up? I'm Dave. What's your name? Michael. Yeah, Michael, nice to meet you. All right. And then like 2 minutes later, I'm sorry, man, what's your name? I was like, it's Michael, man. Okay, no problem. Cool. Nice to meet you.
That's when you want to go, do you mean like my name or you mean the character name?
Character name? Ricky. Michael doesn't matter.
It's reading right here.
It doesn't matter. Michael doesn't matter. It's Ricky.
It's Ricky. You just call me Ricky. That's fine.
I don't know if your method or whatever, you know.
That's right.
But he was like, it was cool to see him. He's like a quarterback, like of a team. He was just like looking at the cameras. He's like, "What's our shot here? Okay, boom, boom. Okay, we need to go here. We need to back up here." I was just like amazed that he was so knowledgeable of every part of the filming process, that he knew exactly how to tailor his performance to it. I was like, "That's awesome."
Yeah.
So there was a huge like problem during the day. It doesn't seem like a big problem, but in the moment it was terrible. The director is German, and she was wonderful, but there's a little bit of a language barrier, just a little bit. And there's the part where I set the stuff down on the counter, including the carton of cigarettes. Mm-hmm. And I set the carton down, and she goes, "Cut. Okay, the way that you're setting the cigarettes down, you're doing this. We need you to do it like this. And if you can't see what I just did, I did two of the same exact motions."
Yeah. He basically turned from palm up to palm down, like you're placing something on a counter. And he did it the same way both times.
And I had this shocked look on my face, like, well, this is what I'm getting fired for. This is it. Because I don't know how to be a human being.
Right.
And I looked at Dave after, and he looked at me, and he just shrugged his shoulders. He goes, I don't know. And I was like... And he must have seen something, and maybe I'm overlooking this, but he has no idea how much this meant to me. He looks at me and he goes, and this is his last shot of the day. He's done after this. Mm-hmm. He looks at me and he goes, all right, Michael, don't fuck this up for me. And he started laughing, and then I started laughing. And went, oh my God. And because he just put my biggest fear on the table.
Right.
And he's like, it's out. So now do your scene. Mm-hmm. And we did it. And called cut, and then they wrapped him, and we both walk out, and I go, hey Dave, and I was so nervous to do that. I was like, no, if you don't fucking say this, you'll never say this to him.
Right.
I was like, Dave, hey, I just heard you on Armchair Experts, and you were talking with Dak Shepard, and you were talking about like being vulnerable on camera, and you know, like how he shows his like belly in the scenes, and you know, that's fucking brave. And I was like, I think that's cool, man. Like you're this like macho guy, but you don't care about like showing your vulnerable sides. And so that means the world. And he goes, thanks, man. I really appreciate you saying that. You're really fucking funny. And our scene's going to be fucking great, man. And I was like, and
I'm going to go melt now.
what was funny was the guy who plays the villain on the show, the Terminator guy, Audrey Ivchenko. His manager was on set, and her name's Becky, and she was standing right next to me when he said that. And I look over at her, and she goes, and I was like, I can die right now,
right,
and be happy. I was like, just put this on my gravestone. I was like, I'm good. I said that was the coolest moment of my life, and I just felt like reassured. I was like, I'm supposed to be here. Yeah, like that imposter syndrome in the beginning, like it was gone. I was like, no, this is where I'm supposed to be, and then an instant amount of regret. I was like, oh, I wish I could have carried that attitude earlier. Because I could have just been approachable, or, just played it cool with everybody and, made some friends. But I was just a nervous wreck the whole time. But that second part of the day with like the where I get slammed into the counter, that's the second half of the day. And originally I wasn't supposed to do it until the director was like, it's too quick of a shot. You're going to be able to tell it's not him. Because the stunt double looked exactly like me, because was walking back to set. I saw him and I was like, man, my hair is so rare. How are you going to tell me somebody has the exact same hair as me? And I get closer and I'm like, man, he's wearing the same outfit as me too. And I went, oh, that's my stunt double. And we look and pointing at each other like the Spider-Man movie. And we're just laughing because we're like, oh my God, you look exactly like me. And he had this wig on. And I remember now, like they like took me in and they had a wig and they were just like kind of messing around with it. Like, okay, you're good. Thanks. And I was like, all right. And I walked out. I was like, that's weird. And I was like, it's for my stunt double. That's hilarious. And his name's Noah. He's a really cool dude. But I like I said, I didn't want to be difficult. I never wanted to be difficult. So I was like, I'll do it. I don't care. Show me how to do it. And the stunt director, his name's Hidakota, and he does stunts on Cobra Kai. And he's the nicest guy in the world. He's like, all right, I'm going to show you how to do everything. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have a great time. And he's like, twist your arm. He's going to pull it, and we're going to slam it on the counter. Boom, boom. And we did it. It was great. And my adrenaline is pumping. It is like, yeah, I'm a part of the team. I feel like this is the closest thing I can get to sports. I'm like, yeah.
I did my own stunts.
Exactly. I played like Arctic Monkey song, all my own stunts on the way home. Like, yeah, that's me, babe. And so my adrenaline's pumping, and then Andre comes to the set, and he is as big as he looks, and his hands are like huge. Yeah. And so we're doing that part, and he's slamming my hand. And in one take, his fingernail slices the inside of my ear, and there's like blood just coming down my face. And I'm like, ooh, that hurt. That was a stinger. I said, that was a stinger. That hurt. And then the on-set medic comes on, and I like get off camera, and they're like, we don't really see him in this shot. So they put the stunt double in. And I feel like, again, that competitive sports attitude is like, clean me up, get me right back in. Put me right back in. I was like, I'm good. So they're cleaning up my ear. And I'm like, I'm fine. And then the director is like, thinks I'm more hurt than I am, but I'm playing into it. I'll be like, she's like, you see this person? This is a SAG representative right here. If you go in and you're hurt and you continue, I'm going to get in trouble, and everybody here is going to get in trouble. And I said, I'm fine, coach. Yeah. Put me in. Yeah. And I finished up the day, and I felt awesome. Like, high-fived all the stunt guys. I was like, yeah, I'm one of you guys. And it was awesome. And I went home that night, and I went to sleep. All this great energy. I wake up the next morning, I feel like shit.
You're like,
I'm in so much pain.
You're like, I got slammed into the counter several times.
I was like, oh my God. I look at my legs. They're all bruised, because every time he pulled me in, my legs slammed against the countertop. And I'm like, oh my God. And my neck hurts because I would twist my neck. And then that cut on my ear was actually pretty sore. And I was like, the life of a stunt man. Yeah. But it definitely changed my life for sure.
All right, Michael, this is the second segment of the show. This is where we kind of dive a little bit deeper into you and possibly what your mental health journey may have looked like. So for you, how do you keep the darkness at bay?
A lot of it comes with self-discipline, and I have to sleep better. Like when I can feel, because I suffer from BPD, bipolar disorder, and one thing that can really set it off is not getting enough sleep. And I go through those manic times and those depressive times, and so managing my sleep and eating right, that really helps me. But the big thing that I do, other than take your medicine, folks, take your medicine. If I could say that, if you don't stop taking your medicine, if it's not working for you, call your doctor, but take your meds, because it helped me like so much. Anyway, but I also have a sign on my door, on my closet door, that I put my biggest goal on. I write it. It's kind of cheesy, but it's the first thing I see in the morning. It's the last thing I see when I go to bed.
Yeah. And
no matter like if I'm struggling, it's just like I look at that thing and then be like, I'm struggling for this. You know, I'm hurting for this right now.
Yeah. And
it helps. And that's kind of one little thing that I do. But just, and it's also okay to lean on your friends sometimes. And sometimes I'm Italian, very prideful type, very stubborn. But as you said, we're not alone. And if you talk to somebody, you'll find out somebody's probably going through the same thing as you right now.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like when I opened up about my breakup to people, like it must be breakup season, because everybody was like, it's fine. Hey, you know what? I just got dumped. You know, this thing. It's like, oh, dang. Well, I just lost my job. Hey, I just lost my job too. Like the pandemic's been terrible. It's like, it's been bad on all of us. And so, just being able to talk to people and manage your sleep, eat right, and take your meds.
Yeah. And do you think, I mean, because with the pandemic and everything like that, I think there are a lot of people that went through a big season of obviously down, depressed times, but also a time of self-reflection and what's important.
Right.
What do I really want to do? That kind of, that goal setting you're talking about, that dream board, whatever you want to call it, on your door, and resetting your mind to like, hey, this is what I want.
Absolutely.
I really want. And if I'm doing something that's not getting me closer to that, maybe it's not as important as I thought it was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And putting your values in the right place. Like what is it that I really want to achieve? You know, I used to look back and be like, I want to be rich and famous. What a terrible thing to just want to be.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, I don't know. I want to be in a community where I feel respected and loved, and where I can make art that a community could be proud of, and that we can all work on and make a living doing what we do.
Right. Everybody still has bills that have to be paid. We have to, you know, I mean, but being able to, like you said, make art that you're proud of, do something that brings pride and honor to your community. Again, not for yourself, but for, you know, the area you're in, or the people that you know, associate with in your community, your tribe, as you would say.
Yeah. And I used to think about like, how emotional I would be if I ever won an award for something. And then as I've gotten older, I've like, how emotional I would be if I would be able to give my friend a job doing something that they love, and like, let that be their career.
Yeah.
That gets me emotional. That gets me excited.
Yeah.
And it gets me like, I want to make something where like, because most people have to, like you said, we work our normal jobs, we work normal 9 to 5s, and we don't have time to, or the luxury to be able to do the things that we want to do.
Right.
And especially in Augusta, it's just not really sustainable. But hopefully that's something that we can work on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because if, like I said, if those opportunities existed, I mean, I would like nothing better to do what we're doing right now and be paid for it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because one, I love talking to people. I love finding out about people, but I also love letting people know that, you know, that they aren't alone, that there are other people that are like them out there. And that it doesn't have to be that scary.
Yeah. And one of my, like, I used to tell my best friend this. I didn't tell many people this. I said, you know what? One of the worst parts about being just a little bit successful in acting is because everyone thinks you're doing okay. It's like, oh, you're on Stranger Things, man. Oh, you did that commercial. That's awesome. You must be doing great. And it's like, I'm devastated and broke.
Yeah.
So it's, and a lot of people tell me now, like, you're living your dream. You're doing all this. And I said, you have to understand that there's a lot of failure that came with it.
Yeah.
And I said, so if you're struggling and you think it's not possible, I was thinking that 6 months ago.
Yeah.
I said, I didn't think it would ever be possible for me to do this because it's that imposter syndrome. I didn't think I was capable of it or that people would believe in in my image. It's like, what if this is just in my head? What if this is just,
Right. Or and you talk about the imposter syndrome. You're like, what if I'm just boosting my own ego?
Exactly.
What if I'm just like, putting this intention into something that's actually not me?
Exactly. And one of the symptoms of BPD is like this false sense of like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like your shit is hot.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, so I'm always questioning myself. And I think I guess that's a good thing where I'm just constantly questioning myself and constantly questioning everything I write, which sometimes can go off the rails. But when you have those people that you trust, that keep you in check. And
I think that's important, to be able to have people that you can trust with that are going to give you their honest opinion and like, not that, oh, it's great.
Yeah.
Every time. Oh, it's great. I mean, it's awesome if they do say, oh, it's great. If you know that there's been a history of, man, that sucks. Or have you thought about changing this?
Absolutely.
Or it's like, oh, I don't like, because then that adds more value to the greats when they give you
exactly.
those.
I hate those empty compliments. Mm-hmm. Oh, I saw your, it was great. It was great. Especially like, now that sounds kind of shitty, but you know what I mean? It's like if it's somebody in your field and they just kind of like blow it off, like, oh, it's good, it's great stuff, and they won't tell you what they really think. That drives me nuts.
Well, and it's like I am guilty of this. Going to see shows, and I stage door a lot, and even especially in the local community, because I know these people, and I know, and I know that work that you're putting in for, a month, 2 months, like you were in Something Rotten not too long ago with the Players. And it's like, I want you to know, it's like, my go-to compliment is like, you did a great job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I mean that, because I know it was a job. You did a job. You performed. Right. I know the work that you had to put in to get up on that stage.
That's a perfect compliment.
You know what I mean? As opposed to, oh, you were great. It's like, now if we had more time other than when you're stage door, it's like, that thing there, I thought that might have been a little bit of, it's like, you were really going at it in the cod piece. And so I was like, hey, you might have tried to milk that too much, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in that moment when you just want to convey that admiration of like,
absolutely,
you did a great job,
Yeah. It's my mom can tell when I think I've had a bad performance. So she'll sometimes change what she's going to say. Like she won't say great job. She sees me like come up with like a shaking my head no, like I'm like a this shit sucks.
Right.
She'll be like, it's all right. She knows not to say great job because that's because I already know. It's like, I already know the show sucks.
Yeah.
I get mad that way about improv a lot. I'll be like, miss some real funny opportunities out there, guys.
It was just, and that's the thing as a performer. I mean, I think when you're off.
Yeah.
Too. So, and being able to acknowledge when you're off, but also not totally beat yourself up about it.
Yeah. That's what I had to learn how to do.
Yeah.
Because I used to be so self-deprecating. I would just have no confidence to perform.
Yeah. It's like, well, I suck. I'm never getting on stage again.
Well, I was like, I bombed. I had the worst bomb ever. I'm done.
Yeah.
Because I mixed up Captain Kirk and Spock.
Oh, wow.
I did a Spock impression when I was supposed to do Kirk, and everyone was like, "What's going on?" And I was like, "Oh my god."
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I was like, "It's over." Yeah. And it's like, it was one mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I mean, it's a pretty big one.
It's a huge one. It is a huge one. Listen, I got shit for it for a long time. But I was like, in my mind, I was like, wait, oh my God, I knew that. It was like, it wasn't even something I didn't know. I was just like, I just did the wrong impression.
Yeah. Yeah, it happens. It happens. But, but like you said, you learn from it.
Yeah.
You move forward.
Like I told you, I got bullied a lot growing up. But that doesn't mean I didn't deserve some of the bullying. I was a cringy dude. Still a cringy guy, I must say. I had a cringe moment yesterday where we were at Knuckles and I opened the door for the guy bringing his food. I went, "Oh, thank you." And then he brought it over to somebody else. That's me in a nutshell. Yeah. But yeah, I got over a lot of the embarrassing moments pretty quick when just living those parts of my life. So yeah. But I was in my head a lot about that. But nowadays, when I fuck up, I'm able just to let it go. It's like it happens. It just happens. And that makes like growing this business a lot easier because I'm going to mess up. I'm going to spend too much on LegalZoom for the things I don't need. Right. It happens.
So if you had a piece of advice, thinking in the realm of the things that you've gone through, mentally, deciding to follow that pursuit in the life of an actor, a performer, and you could offer a piece of advice to someone that's wanting to pursue that as well. What's something you kind of wish you knew then that you've learned that you can tell somebody going forward?
Trust the process.
Yeah.
I was so scared when I was younger because I didn't think I knew anything, which I didn't, but I had a good plan. I've always had good plans, but just never had the confidence to follow through. My first plan was to join the Marines and to get out as quick as I could and then use that GI Bill to go to Juilliard.
Oh, wow.
And I never did it, but do you know who did? Adam Driver. That was the exact route he took. And I was like, that's what I wanted to do. I'm like, dang it. And I never trusted myself to do it. And I dropped out of college before Stranger Things. And I was starting to get auditions in Atlanta. And my professor was like, if you miss any more class, and this is a film professor too, for a film acting class. If you miss any more classes, I'm going to drop you. And I said, but I'm going to film. This is film acting. This is supposed to lead to that. And he goes, I don't care. And I said, fuck you. I'm out of here.
Wow.
And I left. And I was like, I'm never going back to that school unless they give me a reason to, like they have something. Because the degree that I was getting wasn't worth it. It just wasn't worth staying. And now that I've waited, they've added programs that make sense for my degree, that make sense for my business. They have hopefully I'm enrolled back in school for this summer. By the time I'm done, I'll have a BA in communication, a BFA in visual and digital storytelling with a certificate in media production, filmmaking, and theater performance.
Nice.
But if I would have graduated 4 or 5 years ago, I would just have a comm degree.
Wow.
But I didn't trust. I was like, I want to go back when the time is right. And everybody kept like, you need to go back to school. You need to finish your degree. And it's like, I just don't feel ready. It doesn't feel like the time is right. And now I'm back in school and I'm going to have so much more stuff. I'm going to learn so much more valuable things that help me and help my business grow. And I had to trust myself because nobody believed I was going to go back to school ever. It's like, but I knew if the time was right, I would. And so I think we talked about this earlier. Not everybody is going to see the plan that's in your head, but you just have to trust it and don't try to take any shortcuts.
All right, Michael, this is our third segment of the show. It is time now for the Fast Five. It's time now for the Fast Five. Sorry, I don't have a theme song.
I love it.
Still working on that, workshopping some things. Fast Five. Fast Five is powered by Poddex. It's an app created by my friend Travis Brown. It's great conversation starters. It's built for podcasters, so you always have to like interview questions and things like that. But they're great icebreakers if you ever going to, a SAG meeting and you just want to start a conversation instead of just standing in the corner or whatever. David Harbour comes by, you can just like
was thinking, it's like, I should have brought this out with Dave Harper.
You should whip out a Poddex card and ask questions. As a matter of fact, if you go to chewinthefatbr.com/Poddex and use the promo code CHEW, you can get 10% off your physical decks. But we're going to ask you 5 questions, random. I just need the first answer that comes to your head. No wrong answers. All right, you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
You can choose anyone in the world to become friends with. Who would you choose?
Ooh. Oh, God. Okay. God, that's a great question.
Don't poop in the chair.
Bill Hader.
Bill Hader.
Yeah.
That's a great.
Yeah. I love Bill Hader. He's great.
Barry, one of my favorite shows.
Oh, me too.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
Written, directed, produced, starring Bill Hader. He did all of it. That was inspiring for me.
So good. That's awesome. All right, question number 2. What makes you lose track of time?
Video games.
Video game?
No doubt. I'll be like, I'm just going to play one quick game of Madden. And it's like 3 hours. What? Oh, man.
Is that your go-to game, though, Madden?
I'm a big sports game guy, but I also like good story-based games. I like Red Dead and Far Cry. But, big MLB The Show fan, Madden. Oh yeah.
Nice. All right, question number 3. If humans came with a warning label, what would yours say?
Cries a lot.
Don't drop hats. He's gonna cry.
Good tears, bad tears, will cry a lot.
Okay. Awesome. All right, and number 4. How many chickens would it take to kill an elephant?
Oh man. At least 1,000. At least 1,000.
At least 1,000.
At least they'd have to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers assemble into a larger animal than the elephant and take it down.
Take down the elephant. See, I'm of the mindset. It's like, it could be one. If that one had salmonella, boom. See? Just saying.
Get him with a disease.
That's right.
That's brilliant.
It's chemical warfare. No wrong answer. So you're good. 1,000 chickens. Take down the elephant. It's good. All right. And number 5. What's your favorite classic line from a comedy movie?
Where'd you get your clothes from? The toilet store? It's from Anchorman, Steve Carell. They're having this big argument. This is right before the anchor fights. And Brick, who played Steve Carell, he goes, where'd you get your clothes from? The toilet store? And they all just stand there for a second just looking like, what the?
Yeah.
And the Vince Vaughn character is like, even that guy had something to say.
That's a great movie, though. Do you use that line often?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Somebody says something mean to me. I'm like, oh, yeah. Well, where'd you get your clothes from? The toilet store?
Nice.
Devastating.
Awesome. All right, Michael, that's our Fast Five, and that is the show. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
I really, really appreciate it. If folks want to keep up with you and what you have going on personally, as well as like Big Brow Productions, where can they find you?
So Big Brow Productions is on Facebook. You just Big Brow Productions LLC will pop up. But you can follow me on Instagram at Silvio Fortino, SILVIOFORTINO. And that's Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
Awesome. Of course, I'll put those links in the show notes as well. And, of course, you can find out more about Michael on the website as well at chewinthefatbr.com. Thank you again, Michael. I loved having this chance to talk to you.
Yeah. I was looking forward to this all week, so thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you for listening. And if you would like to support this podcast, I'd appreciate it if you buy me a coffee at chewinthefatbr.com. But until next time, I look forward to we have the chance to set a spell and chew the fat.